Welcome back. We're continuing the news. As COVID cases continue to burden public hospitals across the island, this evening we look at two hospitals still struggling with the promised field hospitals and how one facility is pulling out all the stops to find space for COVID patients. Here's Krista Campbell with details.
A crisis of bed space for COVID patients at the Mandeville Regional and Maypen hospitals in Manchester and Clarendon, respectively. Field hospitals are supposed to help ease the pressure by creating more space to house COVID patients, but only 3 of the promised facilities are so far operational at Falmouth in Trelawney, Spanish Town in Catherine, and St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Andrew. Work on a field hospital at Savlamar Hospital in Westmoreland has been delayed, even as medical staff push for the facility to be declared a disaster zone because of the number of COVID cases and deaths. Meanwhile, at Mandeville Regional, the situation is getting so bad that until the field hospital becomes a reality, the administrators are using every and any space available for COVID patients.
We have 89 positive patients and 25 suspected.
That's an additional 114 patients to the 271 the hospital currently has admitted. CEO Alwyn Miller says there are only 226 beds.
Initially, we created 2 isolation area, 2-bedded unit, and we had another which has about 16 beds, isolation beds, and 2 ICU beds. Now, over the last few weeks, the numbers have gone up, and out of necessity, we have had to repurpose our pediatric ward to function as an isolation ward. That ward has an additional 16 beds.
But that's still not enough.
In terms of some of the other patients, what we have had to do is to repurpose our conference rooms, use side rooms, which historically have always been used for isolation purposes. And we do have some that are in other areas of the ward that we have sought to secure screening them around in an effort to isolate them from the rest of patients.
Temporary tents have been set up at the Accident and Emergency Department for patients awaiting triage or admission. But because he doesn't want other patients to contract the virus from being housed in the same area as COVID patients, the CEO is looking at external facilities. He says the Seventh-day Adventist Church is helping.
So we are in dialogue with them about using the church hall for outpatient services. This will allow us to convert the existing outpatient service to an inpatient ward.
The Ebenezer Home has agreed to take social cases, that is, patients who have been abandoned at the hospital by their relatives, and the CEO is also looking to use a campsite to house other non-COVID patients. At the Maypen Hospital in Clarendon, work on the U.S. Embassy-donated field hospital is expected to be complete in another 30 days. It can accommodate 40 beds.
The Maypen Hospital is overwhelmed, and we are seeing today a number of 35 positive and 55 suspected, and our isolation ward has a capacity of 26.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.